After probably 4 or 5 hours sleep in the last 2 nights. But the reason I wanted to go live is because if I mess up what I'm gonna say, there's no way I can change it. So I might be up Shit's Creek. Everybody might be up Shit's Creek. No one might be up Shit's Creek. The whole world might be up Shit's Creek. Shit's Creek is a lying son of a bitch. It's to get everybody. But anyway, I don't know if anything we're telling ourselves is real anymore. And this is, I'm trying to say something I think Patty Smith might admire me, let's say, but I don't think he or anybody else has ever said it in a way that will, I don't know, I really create a place of love and what is real about humanity. The only thing that's real about humanity is love, kindness, but especially honesty. When you don't allow honesty, all kinds of terrible things happening, and it takes shape in many ways, forms, and instances. We don't even know what's happening really. But there's one thing that I always knew, understood, and I know it for to the core about schizophrenia. It does not exist. It just doesn't. It's a lie because we are too cowardly to lie. We, me included. And the person who was listening just went off like that. I have to say this, I'm trying to help everybody. It is a lie. Schizophrenia just is. It's a lie because we're too dishonest to be honest. About what? About the good that is created because with the dark side within us that we despise, hate, and because of being honest about that, being honest about having having everybody, all inside of us that we know if we told everybody went around all day just telling, oh yes, I thought of not thought, but I fantasized about this, fantasized about that, and this was allowed, Christmas would be on Earth, and the actuality of a committing of a brutality would not exist. War would not exist. The idea of hurting someone for some kind of moral reason, oh, I'm gonna fight them, I'm gonna hurt them because they deserve it or something like that. It's exposed as being what it actually is. It's a person's need to enjoy inflicting pain and another instead of saying I enjoy this. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna hurt them because instead punishing them through some legal system of loopholes and stuff. So a man who lives in, or a man or a woman who lives in a horribly cruel, and this it starts at the age when schizophrenia starts, that's what they say. Horribly cruel, violent to the absolute apple core, and yet at times seeming to be capable of greater acts of selfless love, untainted, and this is very important, untainted in any way, shape, or form by manipulative forces of any kind. That's rare and it's most beautiful and it's the most whole. It's 100% into into ourselves is that joy we would get from untainted love, meaning it's just there. It's given selflessly, and that is rewarded by 100% joy of just saying, wow, I helped them, but I had no reason other than my own joy from helping them and their own joy of receiving it. It had no taint to it, no outside influence. I wasn't showing off or anything. So and then that was in brackets. And then humanity can even see it itself. Love, selfless love. I cannot stomach acts of cruelty. And this is what I'm trying to make the point of right here. I think this font keeps getting the words crushed. when I try to upload it. So it's creating a problem of me writing a whole self-contained book. Anyway, I cannot stomach acts of cruelty, anything that causes suffering. If I see it, even portrayed, and this is what happens, I think, to most people who even portray them in dramatic form. And you don't maybe experience it to the point where I do, but even if it's only dramatic, it's not real, like documentary film, it causes an immediate physical upset in the person. You immediately physically respond, high blood pressure, repulsion, and stuff like that. And that's where I think the demon is. Let me explain further. I think it's already self-evident to everybody. Anything that causes suffering, if I see it, even portrayed in dramatic form, will cause me to jump out of my boob tube seat. The second time I saw the movie Psycho shower scene, especially just after the knife thrust to cut home, caused my stomach to toss, flip, and sizzle bly as would a jalop fish gasping on the beachfront for water to breathe. And it's like you don't even see it happening. You know it's going to happen, but you don't see it about to happen. And then you see it and you get physically sick. And you also, there's something in you that also wanted to see it in the first place, or else you wouldn't have stayed there. See it. This seems to me to be a seminal problem humanity worse than ever now faces, and this is why we're having such terrible things happen. Now faces being able to flip the bird at this made up bullshit illness, a snake pit of liars, psychiatrists, child raping reprobates, deemed schizophrenia. And I'm going to use the word fuck, all of you worm infested abusers of kindness, mercy, love, kindness, mercy, and especially now I put the devil's biggest weapon. A refusal to be honest pertaining to the dark side within, whose flat out lying phoniness instead is leaving this great world of blood-soaked trail of zapping, spattering, real gore fests, schizophrenia, pretense of any legitimate existence. Humanity as a whole cannot face with honesty the inner beastly demons inside. So instead we create this bullshit disease. That's being schizophrenia. Bullshit. Take a kid from somewhere, let us say in East Ohio, just like the other guy said, here's someone walking down the street, and for a reference, or East Ohio or Wyoming, or even downtown Boston. And this is at the age where it begins. And he is at the age where the ladies are looking better and better every day. Yet he comes to this point in his life where he was kicked around daily by other kids for no particular reason he could fathom. When he gets naked as a flapjack, bric-a-brac, cul-de-sac, and then fantasizes about killing everyone and everything in sight, and then wants to do, but it's only fantasies, not thoughts. And I just went off again. Every time I'm getting seminally reaching the point of trying to help people, and this is very important if we want to get over this. He gets and fantasizes about killing everything in sight. But in real life, all he wants to do is be kind to them and help them. And he or she is not harbor in any way the actual thought of hurting a beautiful and kind-hearted human soul. But he, especially at his or her age, needs to live in a world where, in other, to thrive and mature through love as opposed to cruel acts of barbarismic vertigosaurage, needs to be honest about what he, for a long time now, has kept secret, the darker part everyone must deal with truthfully. And if this truth by any society, any society is not accepted, a state of masochrotic bullshit manias, supposed flim-flam, lie like a rug schizophrenia is the brain fog egg of human suffering that we leave in its place. And what I've been trying to say for years and years and years, just let people be honest. Can you imagine the hurt, the pain, the suffering that a teenage kid is going to because they're not allowed to be honest about the good and bad within? There's not, there's no bad really. There's just how can I say it? All they want to be is good and help and kind, but they have to also know that inside these fantasies that everybody has, everybody is born has, probably even the animals and every form of life has, is that if it's expressed, that's where kindness, love, and every compassion comes from. Is to say the hell with hurting people, the hell with lying, the hell with lying. And whereas the truth, we have to honestly say the truth. Just to say that like the truth is a black and white reality. That can't be truth. Truth is can be practiced for manipulative reasons, like I do when I want to get some caffeine up here, and I know I have to do it. I don't like it, but I do like it because the other person is paying the price for that just as much as I am. I have to look them in the eye and lie to them because I need to function in every way possible. I need to lie to them to bring up caffeine. They know it and I know it, and they're causing that situation to exist in the first place. But there's one thing I'm definitely wrong in every way possible. That's keep being such a slob in my room. That have terrible consequences for the whole house. I'm a slob anyway, and I have to get over that. But anyway, the lie that is caused is not caused by me. Just that one lie of the bringing of the coffee and the weed up here is not caused by me. But the weed, I don't think is a good thing in society. Maybe it is. Oh, I enjoy it terribly. I don't think it's doing us good. One reason is because it's bringing horrible other stuff into this society through legal channels, and they're hurting people who need help more than anybody. Through this selling of the weed, other stuff comes in. Right on that, everybody knows to do horrible things to make up money. And they were really members of what some people would call the Johnson Family Code, which is just to help and do good and like avoid being a rat in any way. That's a certain code that someone talked about. But that's not a code that the weed sellers are holding on to and not breaking if they're making a profit from selling Oxycontin. They're breaking that family code of just be a good person. They are breaking it because they're selling a product they know causes great suffering, harm, and damage to other people. So looking them in the eye and selling it to them, already knowing that they're addicted and is living horribly suffering in life, and they have to get that. And you're torturing them by even putting it right in front of them to have them look at it. You know who I'm talking to. You know, you who do who this place especially. I think it's happening on a national, worldwide basis through the legality of one seemingly harmless drug that allows some people say no censorship, no rules, no anything. Unless, of course, you need to lock up some wacko who is hurting on people in some way. Very sick sociopath, which is totally different from schizophrenia. Everybody could be labeled schizophrenic if we were honest. Not many people are sociopathic because they're not going to have a want to hurt another person. But the other thing is schizophrenia happens to everybody, and we all have the darkness inside us. So it's a totally different kind of darkness. But take, for instance, the people who are selling the oxy, they're looking people in the eye, knowing it. Keeps coming on every time I talk about this. I'm just going to say it. This has been trying to do what's right. Is that the you're looking them in the eye, you're selling them something you know going to hurt them, and you're making a profit. Now, if you really were good about this, you would just give it to them, or you would create a situation where you know that if you give it to them, that's not going to cause a problem if they're overusing it and going into further detriment because they're abusing it when they're trying to be rationed to help them. The whole selling of it by this form, a method where the person who's selling it doesn't have the right compassion and is more worried about the economic place and the apparatus of Main Street where they have the store that sells through legal channels legally, and then right next door or a few doors down is a family center, nothing else. But across the street is a mental health center. The biggest bullshit is a button blackjack of all reason that they're all there in the first place, and coordinated all around town an infrastructural value because see we have the first and we have the second and schizophrenia and the drug abuse, the horrible child abuse is all linked to a maze of um, coordinated lies and dishonesty because rich people wanted to cut the taxes at the top and flood the poor with more trials and tribulation. And this is also dishonest because this is hard to explain. Everybody already knows it, but you create prejudices through this gap in the like someone said to me, well, they're inventing a lot of people who want to stay in their homes and give and eat. People who really honestly need it are inventing a new kind of outlaw, demon, ugly person. That's the poor, homeless, fentanyl addict. They don't exist, but yet they do exist because there's a recurrence of tax cuts and exactly the things that the other people are talking about. That's the reason why they exist in the first place. See what I'm saying? They made up this new phenomenal outlaw, um, demonizing underdog, untouchable in society, just like gay people or anybody else, minorities of any kind. Anybody who is outrun in society is structurally, like black people were demonized because they said they were using Coca-Cola. This is what the white flip was saying. That white is a stereotype of saying. Some people are actually saying in the 30s and 40s that black men were hurting white women simply because they were drinking Coca-Cola. Because Coca-Cola at that time was something else, and this was causing a whole demonization of the mind of the black man, where he was going out and hurting people because he was sipping Coca-Cola on a hot day working in the cotton fields in the torture places that are created by um, the majority of one group of people over another. And so you're demonized through certain social apparatuses. Well, he's hurting people because he's drinking Coca-Cola, and they're not homeless because they took fentanyl. They're homeless for a variety of reasons, one being extreme trauma from their very early years. And some guy at the hospital actually said, when I was talking about the reason I became what they call schizophrenic in the first place, he said, Zoe, fuck your childhood, is what he said to me. Fuck your childhood trauma. Just grow up and get over it. But the problem is that they're making mountains of money off of my trauma, lying about it, abusing me, giving me torturous headaches, and I'm winding up hurting myself too because it's not properly addressed. What's happening it hasn't been for years ever since I was a kid. It's not looked at honestly, And I can't deal with it honestly in public because I'll be shot on sight, or anybody else who's deemed schizophrenic will be. And how long are we gonna stand for this? Stand for this. Just realize, Patty, everybody else, and just start gathering against these horrible drugs. Because if you think they're right for adults, remember they're forced on children. They are forced through courts on children who can't even stand up for themselves, who are living in horrible family situations and existences. Who's going to speak for them? So they may be saying, and I know they're giving this to people, children, and geriatrics. What about geriatrics and nursing homes who have no way of defending themselves? And I heard someone say at the place the other day, well, she should be given something to calm her down. And anybody who was given something to calm down, like a lady at the hospital with Section 8, she was a harmless old lady, but she was nutty as a fruitcake. And I'm saying that was so maybe not kind, but I mean to be kind. I mean to be giving her a form of love, but it might be a cool way of saying it. So they take her and they put her on Prolixin, and her reaction, her physical reaction to Prolixin tells me that she's not exactly schizophrenia. Something else is going on. Because that one's told me if you suffer horrible side effects from these medications, most likely you're not clinically schizophrenic, or such things biological and all this other flim flam, blah blah blah. Anyways, so they say, um, doctor says you have to take Prolixin for the rest of your life. She's probably 60, 65 years old, and she goes up there to the nurse's station every day. Says, do I have to take the torture drug today? Now, what kind of human being, what kind of psychiatrist knowingly places a geriatric lady in a state where she is going to be going through a state of living hellish torture, which is exactly what Prolixin does to the human body when it's not adaptable to the drug, meaning it's not biologically compatible with that drug, but the person is forced to take it anyway through unscrupulous courts, unscrupulous judges, unscrupulous both sides of legality, lawyer and defense lawyer on the other side of the law, which is solely operated in a different system than the criminal courts. It's the Rogers Court. Rogers. I don't know why they call it Rogers. It is some dishonest to the core guy named Roger walking around and lies about everything. He can't face the truth. So this Roger guy gets everybody on these horrible drugs. And that brilliant neurologist realized that if you repress any types of human um, trains of thought that have to do with artistry through the human soul, that's where the human soul is, where the artistry is. You oppress that, suppress it, comes back as nothingness. It's just like numbness. And that's what I experienced. I'm mellow for 15 years. It was nothingness, no daily lobotomy. And this is good. It hurts your heart. It hurts your heart, damages your heart. No, why not just tell the truth? Tell the truth. And now you can hear them on the radio, these poor kids who have suffered terrible lives and they don't understand what they're experiencing, but they're expressing their love in a way that for each other. They're expressing the pain of what they're suffering, but they're expressing it in a way that could really harm them if this was actually carried out by them or the people they meet. And I'm very worried about this because the lines are fading and we carry some sort of fantasy into the real world, and you could get hurt, you could hurt others. It's not because they're suffering so much. They just need to talk to people, especially mentors and older people who can help them. And they're going on, like, creating these beautiful songs where I need help with what they're saying. I need help with understanding everything that's inside me that's going on in me. And, and that's temporary because if a psychiatrist gets a hold of them, they'll take away their ability even to create these beautiful songs. They will. One shot of Prozac, although any of the old drugs that that person is not clinically schizophrenic, will take away all their soul and creative powers. Trust me, I'm telling you the truth about this. I'm telling you the truth. And because I'm a first-hand understander of this, well, you just don't have any soul. It goes somewhere. It doesn't leave you. It's just not. You can't make contact with it. So, and so I'm in the hospital, and they're breaking all kinds of codes right out in the open. Most of them have been to jail. Most of them are fentanyl addicts, for real and true. But they're talking now out in the open. They're mostly people in their 20s and 30s and 40s about things that were unimaginable to talk to. And this is what really I don't understand. It's talking about things really unimaginable to talk about in the open without immediately getting tossed in jail or section. But yet the ones who are kind-hearted, loving, and want to help other people, they might have a little love in them too. And the ones who are mostly getting sectioned, the others are getting thrown into the streets of jail. And everybody needs help. But the way they're expressing it is so volatile because they're saying these dangerous things that if they were really allowed to actually done, that it would cause other people themselves and society as a whole harm and suffering. They're talking about like, I mean, you heard authors talking about the dark part of human nature, but it was always in a negative way. They might be making a dark joke out of it. It was always negatively seen, and now something is happening that is very dangerous. And then there's people carrying signs which are good because we have no kings in society, no kings, especially the blindest person on earth as our king. And, but everybody's becoming blind because we I don't know what it is, but I know what it is. I'm trying to say it right now. Is the need for the self to um, experience happiness and joy in any form. The release of endorphins that causes the blood pressure to slightly raise, and the feeling of joy that heroin and Morpheus are the opposite of when you're being deprived of that. The feeling of joy. Now the fat cats in the cosmetically attenuated cinema industry take this, and they do horrible things like put masks on villains, so they don't have that one moment in the movie of humanity, and if that is not shown, then the villains become strange, almost like insects, and they hike up. They use editing techniques in these movies they were creating, and they're not being made. They're being made for the pure adrenaline release of seeing people get hurt, and they're hiked up with the editing. And it started in 1979 when there was a change from what other people were doing in the 60s, where more honest cinema was allowed. It was just the release of adrenaline, hike up of blood pressure, and maybe they'll go get popcorn and
soda to make more money for the movies makers. And, but it's a thing that is manipulative. It's manipulative because the only reason you're getting excited is because somebody else is suffering. It's not only has to be physically violent, it can be to tragedy, other ways too. And I hope I'm trying so hard to express something but that, believe me, 100%, I'm telling you, that is, unless I'm totally out to lunch, that totally is what schizophrenia is. It has to be. It's infrastructural, sociological. It's much more complex. It's much more. It takes years to develop, so you don't see the process of it coming to the fore. And that's why how these unscrupulous psychiatrists get away with what they're doing. The cardboard statistic gathering reprobates that know not. I'm not saying they have evil intentions if that's why the numbers keep going down. Or enough then, how many people getting, just going about it. I don't know. That makes me worry because I'm trying to say something that helps everybody. So what I'm trying to say is that don't trust them, psychiatrists. I understand there's two different kinds of psychiatrists. There's the one who sees you for 5 minutes, knows nothing about your past, nothing about your suffering, nothing about your life, hikes up your medication and makes a profit. And if that's not going on, if these people who take in people at these clubhouses and these geriatric clubhouses, adolescent clubhouses, middle-aged clubhouses, aren't getting perks because they're being attended, and what I'm trying to say is that everything is this economic joy buzz ride. And if we can get back to a state where we really express what is, I think, at the core of all humanity, that is like the light and the darkness, all you're ridiculous, go away from me. I think you're a joke. You're laughable, you're a joke. You're darkness, you're the devil, and you're so ridiculous that you make me laugh. I'm not gonna obey you anymore through being too cowardly, to be honest. And instead of that, creating a world where um, um, I think everybody understands. I'm trying to understand this in a way that brings about change. That's the important thing that brings about change because it's hard to deal with scissors and tape. And, I'm really looking honestly at the intricate labyrinth of international borders and the way that we look at situations through the lens of history. But this is all the way to what I'm saying because I've been told by Iranian people, especially women, one in the hospital one time in Dartmouth, that what we see in the news about what happened in Iran in the 40s isn't anything like what was actually happening. And that is the seminal reason, that along with the fall of the Soviet Empire, that was the incubus of terrorism from a perspective that didn't have to do with cruelty and barbarism totally, but economic situations that would kind of like money laundering in a way, because money flows. When my uncle always said, money talks, bullshit walks, but the opposite is true too. Because the end result, the consequence is always not too well. So, I don't care. I mean, I do care. I don't care about lying. schizophrenia doesn't exist. It does exist. It doesn't exist. It does, but in a totally different apparatus and formula what they're telling you. And if you want a whole nation to be taking psychotropic, so just because we're not, why are these hallucinations? I'm getting tired now. I didn't fall asleep last 2 nights, and I'm dealing with the situation now that it's so bizarre. They're forcing me to take even higher amounts of Abilify. And the thoughts I was having last night was so strange. I didn't know what to do. I was having torturous headaches in the first place. There's only two things that'll help with the headaches. They're both forbidden, of course, by the doctor. The two things, but the headaches are so horrible. They're my own self-destructive result of childhood trauma. I have to find some way to conquer, even operate at a functional level tomorrow, only getting so much sleep. I'm tired right now. I'm so tired. Oh, tired. Anyway, best thing don't let them do this to me, because they are killing me. And maybe with good intentions, maybe, but they are. There has to be. Nobody gets these kind of headaches without having brain tumors and horrible things going on in their brain. And they notice it happens in the greater amount exactly 3 hours after they take the medication. Also, the delusional thinking goes on a wild upswing after I take the Abilify in the morning. And then having to take the things that interact and also help against those things. Because I don't know, of course, there's great things like artistic creativity, but of course, so what happened to me last night was so bizarre. I was like, trying to go to sleep, I couldn't shut my mind off because all I needed to do was help someone in some way, and it was like a torment just to look at a human face because if they look sad, you want to help them to such an extent. And I think this is hyped up by the medication that sends you into a frenzy of emotional flabbergassery. But the wanting to help other people was so out of proportion with the needing to sleep. It's a good thing to want to help people, but when it becomes a mania, a PTSD mania, and you don't know where to send that energy, it's the middle of the night, you need to sleep. And that's what you're thinking about. I mean, you can imagine millions of clowns running around and all they want to do is help people, which is a beautiful thing. And they're hiking up the frenzy of the bullshit medication, and then they're lowering it in tripartite flim flam operations. Not through the lowering of the medication, but through the neurotransmitter bizarrety of joyride, roller derby, flapjack, neo uh, vertical triage mania, and I'm getting hit with this every day. I have to deal with it. I have to deal with the lack of sleep that is natural to the core of my being. I also have to deal with the fact that they might try to force me into another section. And this is what really scares me if I don't take trazodone and melatonin. One thing I have taken, but the trazodone increases the headache and the fog, the brain fog. One, it makes the pain 10 times worse. They'll use that against you. They'll say, well, if you don't take the trazodone, what will they say? Oh, you're going on a section. At that section, you can be killed legally through torture. You're just tortured for the rest of your life through the biological reactions to the medication. So you're not in control. Everybody's watching every move you make. Like if I go out from this house, I have to tell them where I'm going now. I was 64 years old. I have to tell them everything I'm doing. And they told the guy at the hospital, they said about me, he has to be watched, everything he says and does. Oh, that I think was totally ridiculous and it wasn't true. Everything I have to be. What's gonna happen? Am I gonna get run over or something? The only thing, something bad's gonna happen to me is because of their putting me in possible odds of not coming to realize a harmonial flux of giving back to society and being what they call a benefit to society. As someone says, all our lives are finding ourselves. Anybody who says that to you, finding yourself, you have to find yourself. It is what it is. You have to find yourself. These are statements that say just as much about the person who's saying it as the person who's being said to. And the reason we cannot do that is because we're not allowing honesty. We're creating schizophrenia. And if they want to, everybody will talk about schizophrenia. See this virus. And this so tired. So allow people to be honest. You have Christmas on Earth, just as Henry Mill said. And that's the joyful of flavor and the peppermint and the billy goat is tied to the tree and you own that billy goat and you're meant to take care of them and treat them kindly. You know, you're the pepper shaker, you own a billy goat and you're meant to be kind to them and kind to everybody. And then, so I was having ideas of bravado. I was thinking, well, they took everything imaginable in the 70s, which was bad for me, terrible for me. Now we'll have things they can take to 10 times worse and will mess the greater people more. This has nothing to do with schizophrenia, but it's put there by unscrupulous warlords, street dealers, so corrupt that they're actually polluting every brain in sight. And this is where I'm making a point about legal weed and what they're selling is the second thing. If they come in with the other stuff, the stuff that they were making a profit off in the 70s, I shouldn't even say it because it was great harm to society. Just the fact that they got oxys and illegal forms of benzos in there, those strange combinations were bad enough. But the stuff that they were giving me in the 70s, I'm looking, well, I have to say this as but I know it's out there in mass forms now of all kinds of varieties of laboratories everywhere inventing drugs that is harmful. But that is not schizophrenia. It's just not. It's not where it comes from. It's not. It doesn't even exist in the first place. That's something else. It messes up your brain, as I know. And then you spend the next 20 years correcting everything that these unscrupulous street lords gave you through your own innocence and naivety. And all of this sounds enjoyable. So it was taking stuff that was meant for animals. The first shipment was lost or stolen, and a bunch of people wound up taking it and they enjoyed it in this bizarre way. And something that was meant to help animals wound up in the hands of through channels, people, and a lot of people were actually letting go of that mechanism. That is exactly what I'm talking about. That thin line that brings about love and compassion out of the old darkness, which is I'm not asking help. I'm trying to help. And I know that's an insult. God helps. God helps you too. And help you. I don't know what. See, how come you never come here? How come you never call me? How come you send me messages that people are walking around my room? That's a lie. But it's always these religious messages. People, what do I care if people are walking around my room? If you want to walk around my room, as long as it's not the people who operate this house. I don't care if the whole town walks to my room. He's sending me these messages. It's not for matters of privacy that I don't like people walking into my room. And that's not the reason. It's just an invasion. It's kind of like because they're looking for something that they're going to say later. Why you want? I have a project I want to do, and then it stops me from doing that. And they have coordinated not only sending me these religious messages, they're sending them in forms of social. You know what you're doing, sending them to everybody. Um, everybody needs help, so God helps. Also, you would have been here. If God helps, you would have called me. I did call you when you got off the phone as soon as possible. I always remember that. And you know, K-Love, the other police organizations, all you wanted to do was get off the phone as soon as possible. And I mean that. Now you're sending me that message. I'm not. Uh, so stop sending me this message about people going through your stuff with this. That's sort of what I'm trying to say. This is one way. That's because the secondary conceptual continuity of that. Oh, the first commandments. Oh, every day my idea should be that grace at table Thanksgiving. That's was the point I was trying to make by saying that. What do I care if someone's going to my room because there might be food in there, something they need to survive? Or what am I doing? Am I hiding something that I don't want people to see in one of my notebooks, one of my writings? Or am I hiding something that, what am I hiding, a Rob Zombie or a William Burroughs now? What am I doing that I don't want people to see? I don't know. What is it? It's just, well, I can't get it. I don't get it. I've told everybody everything I want to tell them already on YouTube, so why would I be worried? And the stuff I have, the movies and stuff, I've made such a mess out of it anyway that if someone wants to take something, they're welcome to it. Or bring something in, they can bring gifts. Everybody can bring gifts. I would love to have someone to love. You know, I told you the age range, and nobody's ever gonna call. I don't think. I don't think I'm ever gonna have somebody to love at this point. But if anybody decides, like a lady between 48, I mean, you keep changing the age from 45 to 48, 65. I will serve you butterfly kisses and gentility and uh, touch you in a way that one thing is a certain part of me might not rise to the occasion. One, because of my age, and two, because I'm dealing with this trauma. And this, also, I have stuff at the place that could help you with that problem you'll face. But I don't know what that one out of every 10,000 deal is. I know what happens with trazodone anyway. So it also happens with all the the sexual medications. Not the romance. I mean romance. What's sex without romance? Romances, and that takes away anybody. I know one lady I was with, and I wanted to be romantic with her so bad, but oh, she could tolerate the sex, and I thought that was so strange. So strange. Why doesn't she enjoy being gentle and love is the greatest part? But she couldn't tolerate that. So something even told me, even that she has suffered. I'm so tired. And my brain, it's probably been going on for 2 or 3 weeks now. But I can't talk to anybody about it because they just bring up caffeine. Uh, but yeah, abilify is the combination of an upper and a down. How do you sleep? How do you shut off your mind when you can't shut off your mind in the first place? So that polluted where now they got me on anticonvulsants. I don't know what on earth that is for. I do know, but everybody else knows, but it's not ever gonna be said in a Zoom meeting or forever. Well, one worker did say that is possible. And the lady who was directing traffic said that's we don't hike up the drugs only because it's economic prop. I'll give you a million reasons. I have to go now because I'm so tired. But I thought about this. I got up. This has to be helped. People have to be helped before it's too late. Why are we lying? Why are we creating this bullshit schizophrenia? Schizophrenia doesn't exist. Pain, suffering, having to lie about everything inside you exists. Having been abused when you were so young and not getting help without being manipulated by a system that you have to pay for therapy. How did that come about? You have to pay for that. Makes no sense. And because everybody needs love, everybody needs affection, compassion. Hi. I hope you're doing all right. If you want to ask anything, I would like to help. I try to answer. Because I have to go to sleep. So please, if you want to ask me anything, ask it quick. Well, so I can stay on longer. And I'm so tired. My brain is only half functioning. First to the headache, then to the. It's a very nice lady just said hi. And I wish you all the best in the world. Anybody who wants to call me can call me at any time. I don't think these people who are saying God helps are gonna call. I'm gonna hear from anybody who just wants to talk. And the real truth, if I'm honest about it, I also desperately need a lover. Please don't ask for my card number. Why use me like that? I don't use other people. And if you need someone, if you're lonely, if you want help, if you want companionship, just friendship, which is hard for two people, especially the opposite sex, because I always I try to be like, I need someone to love the lady, and um, it's possible. If not, we just be friends. Anybody, help anybody, talk to anybody, um, in a different way. But I think that's through a different attitude towards truth. Is that, and I always thought this is that truth has many levels. Has to. I'm getting headaches so hard. It's even the whole head up when I want to. You have to look at the reason they're being truthful. I see that myself, especially when I'm bringing up the caffeine. When I have to say something to get it up here. I know it's in a way it's wrong. It's taking advantage of the situation. I don't know what else to do because I have to function. And that creates problems. Nobody's gonna understand this. Everybody, if I say it out loud, is just gonna make the situation worse for me through a mental organization that does nothing for benefit. It seems because the people that aren't getting fed up with it. That's why there were so many people downtown yesterday, and there are people who are from the opposite side of the aisle. Uh, I wonder what the meaning is. People who are still seeing greatness in someone who like them. I don't like his tactics. I just, and he's delving into areas of censorship, government censorship, disastrous for everybody. Nope. Into issues and areas where people can't express themselves. He's doing it through loopholes and stuff like that. It's very dangerous. All governments do that, but especially this guy is doing it in a very clever but stupid way. I have to just oh, well, I'll be back. I'm back for today. I'd like to get maybe an hour or two of sleep. Maybe listen to music. This has been happening every night. I always wake up at the witching hour, which is, you wake up right before dawn if you have a connection with but it's fun. Oh, it's tough when you're dealing with these jacked up amounts of drugs that are torturing your system. I mean, you need at least that 5 hours of sleep to function. And then everything you do is controlled, so don't ask for help in ways you're going to regret later. Ask for help when you know people are going to help you without so much manipulation. I'm not saying that necessarily bad, but this channels that they have to follow makes no sense. Well, so this was fully off the cuff. And that's how we get to the truth. Fox, CNN, every news organization. I'm challenging you, artists, rock and roll singers, everyone on social media. I'm challenging all of you to go off the cuff. That's a phrase someone used to was terribly cruel to a woman that I really liked one time to say, phrase off the cuff. I just like that phrase because it seems poetic. It's a metaphor for like all this girl was waiting. This story, I don't know, it allows for something to be filled in that we don't have right now because everybody is creating art. Political analysis with this tape. Everybody just goes off the cuff. If you lie phony about something, there's no way to hide it because you're off the cuff. So what about if everybody does this? But we have to see at the same time someone who's lying or someone who's nervous. There's two different reactions, and they're closely related through outward expressions. And that's why a lot of people wind up in situations they never deserve to be because they don't use the proper technique like lie detecting tests and stuff like that. I think that, in first instance, someone who is labeled schizophrenic is not good. Oh no! I was a building of a little. Oh no! It's, I didn't take that, whatever. I didn't steal. No, I wasn't there. The lie detector test says you were in Albuquerque smuggling taxidermy and a million gold bars out of a guy's house in Wyoming. And you're saying you were in Massachusetts sipping tea with the queen of Houndag, independent free will transgender, and this lead guy looks at the transgender lady. He's totally heterosexual, and he's always been, but he looks at her and he says, "Oh, that looks good." There's something irritates me about that. Something bothers me. I can't face it. She does look good, so I'm gonna make it illegal. Excuse me. No, everybody left. So, So one thing we have to protect is these kids who are being locked up in Section 12, them especially, and the geriatrics. Those two groups of people are in grave danger these days by unscrupulous psychiatrists. Kids and geriatrics, especially, very vulnerable. And they'll ask you when you get into Meals on Wheels, they want to check your background, see if you're, or animals too. And I'm not comparing all three. I'm just saying you always can tell someone who has a kind heart if the animals like yeah, oh, they walk right up to him and say, so to tip off. And there was someone who lied to me afterwards and borrowed an awful lot of money and then betrayed me in horrible ways. Said that to me. Well, if little kids and animals don't like you, oh, and it's made friends with this cat. I call her Saint Teresa Cat Cutter, and it's a beautiful animal. And that's it. Angel, I remember Angel. I don't know what he would think of this broadcast, but he used to hold spiders in his hand, and the spiders would like dance for him, and he have conversation. Oh, hi to the spider. And it's actually impossible that me and Eric were petting this baby rabbit who was wounded and asking, "Please help me." Because you imagine petting a rabbit, but the rabbit was in so much agony. Of course, the animal people. That actually happened with a pet a rabbit, trying to comfort the rabbit. And that's another, I think, result of over industrialization. Could you imagine what a rabbit is going through, a small animal like our Hogan, even here in the middle of the night because of over industrialization of population areas, residential versus commercial areas? That's how much the small animals are suffering because they have to go down in their home and seek safety after filling their stomach. Uh-oh. Kind of like what I'm experiencing now because now there's a new rule. You have to stay up stairs is from 8 o'clock till 6 o'clock, diabetics included. It's hard because you're hungry anyway. So everything is carbohydrates, which is terrible for a diabetic. You can imagine. I don't think I've had any vegetables in 2, 3, 4 days. Oh, and that causes headaches. And so when you don't have nutritional flux of vegetables, because you see vitamins come in the veins and the muscles and the blood cells in a totally different way if you eat it fruit, vegetables, than if you take it in pill form. Well, I think I might have just woke someone up. I don't know what I what bed. Good night. God bless. Everybody have a good day tomorrow.